Hope you had a good lunch. They did bring us any dessert though, did you notice, Franklin? All across.
Maybe that's my fault, huh?
She's got some candy in her office over there.
We had a good meal from the senior center. I know we got it to go for me and Elaine both sat here and ate it. It was good. Enjoyed it.
Couldn't eat it all. It was too much.
What they get you?
Beef tips on noodles. And it was good and it was tender.
Nice little salad, and there was some
Fruit
fruit.
cocktail,
Yeah, and rye bread and
milk,
milk, ranch for our salad.
yeah.
And had a nice little bowl of some salad.
Very nice.
Cost
That's
us
what's
good.
cost.
$4.
$4.
For senior citizens.
Depends on your age. 4, I think it's over 65 or something, and then 7 for under that.
There are advantages to getting older, my dear.
That's not many is right.
Not many.
I'll swap it.
They don't give another break if you're hitting 70 or something,
If you're
Are you
over
saying-
80,
in very little bit.
How little bit?
We
Elaine,
won't go there.
Elaine, before we get started, I talked to some of the people over there. I went over and got lunch. I haven't been over there since I was kicked out of there 2.5 years ago. Over the salad bar. That was the issue. Anyway, I was talking to some of the guys, and that stove over there only leaks when they turn the gas off.
Oh, really?
And you know what it is?
I don't have a clue.
It's a fairly new stove. When you turn the gas all the way off, it leaves the pilot still running. Because the pilot's supposed to stay on, so you're only supposed to turn it over to where it says pilot. My stove does it at my place.
Does it?
Sure, you smell gas if you turn it off. If you leave the
wondered
pilot
why we're
on,
smelling
don't.
gas, and there wasn't.
So what you need to do before you make any decisions about replacing that stove is to have the gas company go over there and check it out.
Mhm.
Tell them how to operate it.
Interesting. Thanks for checking into that.
Yeah, I looked at the carpet, I looked at the, the towel. It's used, but it's not to a point where it's dangerous or anything.
Come on up, Sean.
Then,
Where do you want? Left, right, middle?
Right, wherever you want to be.
Bless you.
Okay.
Yes, please. If you don't mind. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good. I just got a couple of things for you today.
Okay?
First and foremost, you guys authorized Nicole to sign for that Deep Creek grant,
Mhm.
which is fine, but they need a county commission signature on it to go forward.
Hand it here, I'll take care of that real quick.
So that's the easy one. And then that is actually ready to go. So they have approved that with your signature on there. We'll get going. But they want to make sure that they have the match for that grant before they'll release any funds. So that's the FEMA part of that.
Mhm.
So we have to wait until the FEMA funds get approved, or we find another source to get going on that. I think that's probably not a bad idea. So just make sure we got enough money to get done what we need to get done.
That makes sense.
So there's that. Second was, I talked to you guys a little bit about the appeal letter that I submitted on behalf of the county to FEMA. They sent back a letter, which I hope you guys have.
We do, I'm just looking
Now,
for
are
it
you
right
talking
now.
down at South End, or what are you
This
talking?
would be a switch gears to the new mapping.
You're right, in the South End down there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's what this letter has to do with. I just wanted to make sure you guys have a copy, understand kind of what they're trying to say is, basically, they're pretty far into the process, And in order for them to make sure the boundary's correct, they'll have to go through a revision after these are approved and change both the Gallatin County and Broadwater County maps at the same time. So they have the same date of revision. Otherwise, there'll be a gap, which I understand. I mean, that made
Makes
sense
sense.
to me when they explained that to me. So, that'll be kind of the process as they move forward. But this letter kind of lays out the fact that they'll take care of that. I
Okay.
think that's the important part, is we wanted to be on record that, hey, it's not right.
Mhm.
We want to make sure it's gonna be right, and they covered that here.
Okay, good.
So, there's item number 2. And the last item, which is a little bit more thought from you guys. When I was talking to the DNRC, when we had this conference call, they have some dollars available to do more detailed studies, like what they did from the bridge just above the reservoir up, I think they went 5 miles up the Missouri River. Did a nice detailed study, so it's very accurate. Gives us elevations at, certain points that represent what the actual elevation of the floodplain is. And it's far more accurate than their broad brush Zone A determinations. So they have some more money to do some of that. 2 of the things that came to mind for me administering your floodplain are, 1, continue the study further down the Missouri, and 2, possibly look at Deep Creek. Those would be the 2 spots where it would maybe make some more sense for detailed information to be had.
Which one would be more important?
I'd say they're both of equal importance.
Now, this would be the one, when Herb Argenbright told us about how those
Yes.
elevations, there's something all filed up there someplace.
Yeah, and what they do, it's the Zone A part of it. And what they do is they just really take a paintbrush and kind of guess.
Yeah.
And that's, without doing the detailed study like what we're talking about here, that's all they really can do. We had an issue with, at least I did, and a lot of other people with the county, like Herb and others, and I think Franklin, you even submitted a letter. To me, they did not have enough information to change what was already there. And that was the point I was trying to make is, look, if you don't have the data, don't change it. But they went ahead anyway. But we are on record at least saying we don't agree with it. I don't know if there's anything we can or cannot do about that. However, if we go forward with a detailed study, that can be changed and would be changed down the road. So with that in mind, it's really priority-wise, do we want to go with Deep Creek? Do we want to go with, continue on with the detailed study on the Missouri and go further back toward Toston? They probably both need to be done at some point. It would save taxpayers out here a lot of dollars if they want to do anything in the floodplain, because they have that data right there. They don't have to go and redo anything, or have cross sections made, things like that. It is, I would say, cheaper to do it on Deep Creek because you can actually wade the river, go across with a survey rod and get that information a lot better. With the Missouri, that's more difficult. Obviously, it's a lot deeper and a lot swifter and more dangerous to do, so it costs more money.
I just quick, and information relaying and the people out there too, I was against that. For example, right behind where the bunkhouse, all that, that's in the floodplain area. The
Right.
bunkhouse wasn't in there. Evidently, like you said, a stroke of their brush, meaning the bunkhouse was already there, it was exempt. And if anybody's been out there, if there was water up there, Townsend would be probably 20 feet underwater. I mean, it'd be over the top of that new bridge. I mean, it just didn't make sense at all. And,
Agreed. Agreed.
That's why, and I submitted that along
Right.
with Herb on that.
And before, the old floodplain maps had essentially a hole in the floodplain, so there was not a designated floodplain around that area. Now it goes all the way through that. And, again, they didn't have the information, at least in my opinion, to make that call. But I think we all got overruled on that.
I just wanted to
But yeah, that's a very good
kind
point.
of understand.
So I don't know how much money they'll have available, but if you're interested in doing that, what will need to occur is the commission will have to write a letter to DNRC requesting that they look at doing a detailed study. So, I think there are two things with that. One, you're gonna get a lot more detailed information that's gonna be as accurate as it can be, if that happens. And the other side of that is there may be some people that end up in the floodplain that maybe weren't there before. That's a possibility. I don't know if that's gonna be true. I think they went very conservative on their broad brush zone A. So in my estimation, it'll probably shrink some, but, you know, it just depends on how those details come out. So there's always that fact, but, really, it won't change how we administer the floodplain. I guess that's the bottom line, because those folks who are close to the floodplain, or I'm talking very close to the floodplain, or either in or out, they still need to show that they're not within. That's part of the law. So it won't change how we do things, if we do the detailed or not.
I can think of 2 homes out there that, in my book, would be in the floodplain. I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but
so it could change slightly for some people, but it also would probably benefit a lot of people also. Herb's one of those that I can think of.
I remember one
But-
time, John Zapirian told me that the ground, you know, where Bill Boer had his house, and Zapirian's had that over across there, that was in a floodplain, and he says that mine wasn't. And so, I don't know whether mine is or not, but, it just shows how much difference they have in that stuff, or that stroke of that brush.
Right, and that's the thing, it'll be accurate, it'll be what it is. Some people may be in, some people will probably fall out.
so are you in or are you not in?
Oh, I'm sure I would be. I think, I don't know, it doesn't matter to me anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
but,
Really where it makes a difference is if somebody has a loan on a piece of property or a structure or residence.
yeah.
That's where it makes a difference. If you own the structure, it's not gonna make any difference,
Mhm.
because it's not gonna be required.
And there's,
It's not gonna be any more risk that, you know, because they're there. If a flood comes, it's gonna come. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. I mean, that's the bottom line.
yeah, it's basically you get
Yeah.
loans.
But I thought I would bring it to your attention. I mean, they would basically do everything probably in-house at the DNRC, so they would fund it, they would do it, they would just.
No cost to us.
No cost to Broadwater County, just give you a product. So I thought, well, heck, it's free essentially to you, to the county, to the taxpayers. Not necessarily, because they're still using taxpayers' money to do it to some degree, but at least it might be dollars spent in a community where,
Well, the
They can use
first
it.
part of the Missouri went up 5 miles, right?
yeah, approximately, I think 4.5 to 5 miles.
I would like to continue on that, just,
Yeah, almost to me, it seems like that would be, that one's the tough one to do.
what's your thoughts?
Yeah, fine with me.
Yeah. And the other part of it is we might be able to get some more LiDAR flowing while they're doing it too. So that might fall into the Deep Creek part of it. We might get a break if we do more. Because most of the cost for LiDAR is to put the plane in the air and get the flight done.
And what is that LiDAR?
Light detection and ranging. So basically what they do is they fly a plane over a fairly low altitude, and then they have a little sensor on the plane that also has a GPS unit, survey grade positioning unit, and it shoots light pulses down at the ground.
And that gives the elevation, right?
Yeah, so they know exactly where that plane is based on the global positioning unit that's on it. And it's just like the survey rods they hold these days that have the little bubble on the top. And so it'll tell them how high they are and what exact location they are, and those light pulses are timed. So they send the light pulse to the ground, and it reflects back to the plane. And they record those measurements. And that tells them very accurately, believe it or not, what the elevation of the ground is. It's roughly you know, they say their tolerance is plus or minus 6 inches. In my opinion, and what I've seen from that stuff, it's actually higher than that. They actually get, most of the time, plus or minus 2 inches, which, what we're talking about is more accurate than
It's remarkable how a plane going 100 miles an hour.
It's crazy how accurate that stuff is. It really is. Technology's come a long way. And, you know, you can do it much cheaper than going out there on the ground and taking actual hand physical shots. Because you can do a large area.
So do we need to do a letter to send to them?
Yes, you would. I have a template that I can get you,
That would be wonderful. You're super.
that I can send to you, and then you guys can review it, change it how you'd like, add anything, take away whatever you'd like, and then send it
That would be great.
in. I'll have it to you this week if you'd like to do that.
I would.
Okay.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, go ahead and get that sent to us and.
Sure.
Tim?
I do.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just go back to the Deep Creek project and the grant program they're showing. I think I understood you right. Everything's moving forward.
Yes.
Nicole is still the point of contact.
She's still a point
now?
of contact, they just wanted a signature from the
And I understand that. So pending the matching portion of that grant,
Mm-hmm.
that's still on schedule to move forward, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the other part of the question that I wanted to get clarified is the 319 grant that's coming through DNRC, and there were some questions at the meetings that I attended regarding any overlap, any duplication, and justifiable estimates on some of those things that were put forward. And is that all?
That has actually been resolved, and actually the 319 is through DEQ. But
Right.
DEQ and DNRC got together, essentially, and gave each other comments, questions, to make sure there was not an overlap of the two. And then, of course, the two are basically gonna be administered through the Conservation District anyway, so they can make sure that there's no overlap. Because I went to their last meeting, requested that they be basically a part of the Renewable Resource Grant and how that got spent and how that moved forward. Primarily because they've done so much work out there, and we really don't, number one, we don't want to do any duplication. That would just be not a good thing. And why should we when we can move that money around to do more? I mean, because if you're duplicating, you're not getting anything done. So if they stay involved with it, which they've agreed to do, then I think we can move both grants along and achieve more.
Okay, and then, Madam Chair, one final question. So if for the purpose of what we're doing in Deep Creek, if you combine the 319 grant and the FEMA grant and the matching funds that goes in that, what is the total amount of money, notwithstanding the money that's already been spent on Deep Creek, are we spending on Deep Creek if everything comes forward as
Well, it's
requested?
proposed, and I'm not sure the exact amount of the funds for the 319. The actual FEMA grant total was about 1.7 million plus or minus. Now, there's very good possibility that that amount will never get utilized. Number one, we've got a 25% match, which comes out to $440,000 that would be very difficult, I think, for the county or anybody else to come up with. The $50,000 that we got from DNRC, got at least approved, will count towards that match, so that's part. And it'll also depend on, there were quite a few residential structures that were identified, I believe 9 within that application. Those will all have to be verified to see what's gonna get done. And some of those we may be able to do something with, some of those we may not be able to do something with. In that case, I believe those funds will have to go back. So, it sounds like we have a lot, and then the other part of that is there's a significant amount of that money that's slated for the canyon area where MDT is doing a lot of improvements as well. So depending on how that all falls out, just will depend on how much is actually spent and where that money goes. But that'll all be kind of, once that process starts, know that the Conservation District will be involved in all of that, and hopefully the landowner advisory group out there will as well. So we can make sure everybody's all on the same page as we move forward. But right now, I can't tell you exactly what that'll be, because there's still a lot that has to be verified.
Okay, so, and then for certain, Madam Chair, following forward and looking forward into the crystal ball, so to speak, would you be willing to say it's safe to bet that we probably won't be seeing anything happen until at least after the first of the year?
I would think so, yeah,
And
because,
then, on that same note, is anything on that FEMA grant on hold or anything for that pending investigation that is
well,
out there?
initially, they said no, and then they said possibly yes, and then the last thing I heard was no.
Okay.
So, I think
Up in the air still.
I think it's still a little bit in the
All
air,
right,
but
thank you.
we still have not gotten approval from FEMA yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, that's all I had for you today. Fairly short, sweet, and to the point.
It was. Which one of these do you think is a better one to do? Deep Creek or Missouri?
Well, you know what I would do, I think, would be to write the letter for either or. And then have them come out and do, because they'll only have a certain amount of funds. So what I would think is, have them come out and scope both of them, as far as what's gonna cost what. And then we can make a decision as far as what's the best bang for our buck if we're gonna do it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Just say we've identified 2 areas.
Well, didn't they get part of the Deep Creek when they did that first 5 miles?
I think they've got LiDAR for the lower end, so they've got some data down there, but I don't think they did necessarily any hydraulics or anything like that to determine what that water surface would be.
Makes sense.
Anyway, I guess we can kind of go from there, but I'll tweak that letter a little bit, if you're okay with that, to have it as an either or.
Yes,
Talk to them a little bit to make sure that's gonna be okay.
please do.
Okay, fair enough.
And then get it to us.
Yeah, and then we can just, you can decide, like I say, what's the best bang for your buck.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for coming down.
Yeah, you bet.
How are the roads?
Actually not bad from Helena to here. It's pretty ugly in town there, but it's not bad here, so. Once you get, past the Tower Hill there, it's pretty clear.
Was it still snowing there any when you left?
What's that?
Was it snowing any when you left there in Hellman?
Yeah, it's still snowing.
Was it?
Yeah.
How much snow have you got?
It's not that much, I'd say maybe 3 inches.
It's slick.
Yes, very much so.
2.5 more than we got.
Well, it got cold, so I think that initial snow melted, and then it got cold, and then it started snowing, so we got a little ice on the bottom, which is always great.
That's always the scary part because you're out walking and you think it's just snowing.
Yeah,
Okay, you crack your behind on.
yeah. I know the city police department looks pretty busy today with
Fender bender.
little fender benders here and there, but it's okay.
Thank you very much for
All right.
coming down, Scott.
You bet. Guess I'm good for now.
Okay, you too.
Yeah.
And do you know, has Doug said anything about Department of Revenue today?
He does not, I can run down if I can ask him.
Would you please ask him if there's any changes and
Okay.
are we on track?
Do you want to come up and chat for a minute, or just
Yeah,
get the answer?
well, and we all got a email from Dan White, one of the attorneys in
Oh,
there,
okay.
so
I'll see if he has time.
that would be great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, has anything changed in your knowledge since the last conference call with Mike?
No.
Madam Chair, have you written any of those letters that you were gonna be writing to the governor or any of them?
Not yet.
Okay.
Um,
When are you-
We did just get a letter back from Dan White, who is an attorney with Revenue, and just today.
When you get those letters written, will we be able to see them?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
What did he have to say from the department?
I've done something.
You're gonna read that when Doug gets here?
Sure.
Or is Doug coming?
I think so. Am I?
How you guys doing? Good.
Maybe just a minute.
Yeah, just saw her.
By the way, thank you for the restroom. It's great.
All right.
It doesn't make you feel like you're gonna sit clear to the floor.
That's true. All the rest of them in the courthouse do.
And the handlebar is great.
Madam Chairman, excuse me, have we received the fourth quarter report from MBAC and a remittance on the show loan?
I have not seen anything because I've been wrapped up in this other revenue stuff, trying to, because it so affects all the taxes, so I have not. I will be checking into that. But right now, my big concern was getting these taxes out. Very much so.
Are they still going out, as Doug said? Starting last Friday?
No.
No, we'll ask Doug, he's on his way in. Oh, the man of the hour. Come on up to the hot seat. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Is that Friday at 6:41?
This, yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read it for the public here. And it was a letter written by Dan White to the treasurer, to Laura, to Andrea Johnson, and to Mike Saysted, Mike Cadis, who is the director for the department, Michelle Moore, who is also a attorney.
Oh, sorry.
Greetings. On behalf of Director Cadis, I would like to thank you all for your patience, your time, and attention to the process of resolving the changes to taxable values in Broadwater County during this week. It has taken some time to assess what effect the Supreme Court decision in Department of Revenue versus Heidecker has on classification and property values of subdivision property in Broadwater County. But we think that there is a solution that will resolve the county's issue. We have had several discussions with many of you and have worked through Mike Saysted to determine if there is a way for the values to be recertified to account for the reduction in values that result from the application of the Heidecker to Broadwater County subdivisions. Two subdivisions in Broadwater County, Coulter's Run and SKS, also known as Price Hills, have appeared in the classification of their property. These two subdivisions have facts similar to those addressed in Heidecker. The Supreme Court decision in Heidecker requires the department to reclassify Heidecker property. Because Coulter's Run and SKS are so similar to the Heidecker subdivision, the department must also reclassify those properties. As a result, the department will need to recertify property values in the county. We believe we can have this process completed by Tuesday or Wednesday. Recertification will allow the local government unit to address any budget issues and to adjust mill levies as deemed necessary. Recertification will also allow the local taxing jurisdiction time in which to complete that process and mail the correct tax bills to property owners. Again, thank you for your patience as we work through these issues. We believe the resolution benefits everyone involved. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me. Dan White, Deputy Chief Legal Counsel, Montana Department of Revenue. Do we know any more than that?
I just talked to Jennifer and Department of Revenue, she said this is pretty much in line with what she was saying. She, was gonna have to run a new, my words are failing me right now, she was gonna have to run a new, can the word certification, either this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and they'll have to, balance that, make sure all of the funds are correct. She said she thought they would probably be ready to print by Wednesday.
So we'll be right on track for the 30 days, basically.
Yep.
Madam Chair, I don't know whether we
It
can
just-
get them mailed in time to be out.
Yeah, I sent an email and I called Allegra in Helena. They said in order for them to fold them and mail them, it would take, they figured 3 days. So I think we can probably knuckle down and do it that quick in my office. I mean, it's gonna be some long, hard hours, but
I'm willing to come and help, pure and simple.
all right. Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see when their recertification and their balancing. If everything goes well with that, I think we'll probably be able to print them on Wednesday.
And then how long will it take us to hold?
We can pretty much start folding them as we're printing them. The folding doesn't take that long because we have that folding machine.
Mm-hmm.
What takes the time is to tape each individual tax bill, and that's hard to say how long that takes. It's just.
Do you have to run them by zip codes?
No, through the mail, no. We have a couple of them that we have to pull special because they go to Canada and they have to be postmarked for that reason, but no, other than that, they all get the same postage.
Pardon me, what about the mortgage companies?
Mortgage companies we do separately. Usually what I do is I print the bulk of them on my printer, and I'll have either Melissa or Joyce print the mortgage companies. They're a little bit easier, just because you print a stack of mortgage companies and you just put them in one envelope. So you don't have to fold them, you don't have to tape them. They're a little bit easier to get rid of.
Well, I'll be here working on Wednesday. We've got a hearing, a
All right.
working meeting, I should say. And,
All right, we'll just waiting on DOR to see how it goes for them. Hopefully, Jennifer had one, they had one that she said they were $400 off on one parcel she had to correct, so they do have to balance each separate levy district, so if that all goes well,
well, if there's any change, please call us.
I will. And I sent a copy of this email to Kim, the treasurer in Gallatin County, and Mary Ellen Fitzpatrick, or Fitzgerald, the superintendent in Three Forks.
And they weren't concerned when you talked to them, were they not?
They didn't seem that concerned, no, they just didn't think it was that big of a deal. They figured that what they had budgeted would still come in. I don't know how they
Positive
figured
attitude.
that. Yeah, no, they didn't seem all that concerned, so. all we can do is let them know what's going on. We can't make them worry about it, I guess.
Perhaps we should send this also to the Three Forks Fire District,
Okay, I can do that,
because they're gonna be affected too,
yeah.
adversely.
All right, I'll do that.
Thanks, Mike, for coming up, Doug.
Yep, you bet.
Is there an ambulance under the fire? We have someone with the ambulance too,
No, ambulance
or
was
is it under the fire?
separate,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Never mind.
And, yeah, it will affect the Three Forks ambulance. Any of the funds that go to Three Forks, it's gonna hit them. But if we do the recertification and adjust our mill levy, that should take care of it.
Great.
That's why that recertification is so important. That
Mm.
if they want to recertify, then we can adjust our mill levy, and it's
No,
just a
that's
loss.
plus.
Yeah, but I'll keep you in touch with.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Come on up, Mike.
I think we missed our window. So we took 4 to 6 months to deal with this. I'll continue on with it. We found a way to demo and zip the whole back. And it's gonna cost between $1,000 and $2,000. The road department can use the material, so it's gonna be a savings to the road department for the gravel.
Good.
I think that's the way we should do it, instead of ripping it up and just let it sit down there in the yard and be unusable. And, plus it's gonna be cheaper to do that than it is to buy gravel for the road department. That's what Dana told me. I checked all the references, pros and cons, the Apex had good references, but what I've been told is they have small equipment and doing big jobs. It takes them a lot longer, and their quality isn't quite as good for doing bigger projects. They're great for driveways, small roads. And then on CAP, they had all good references from the city of Helena. I got this from everybody. Lewis and Clark County, I talked to the head guy there, that uses CAP pavement, they use Helena sand and gravel, and they used Apex. And so I've gotten feedback from all of them. Helena sand and gravel, they're a good company, they're right there, they get the job done. Nobody got anything bad to say about them, except for they're our big company and they have sometimes they're difficult to deal with. But, so I still say go with CAP, only because they have the better equipment, they can get the job done and get it done right. So what I'm asking for, I guess, is the approval to do it. If we wait until spring and come back and reapproach this again in April or May, and then we do another 4 to 6 months, play games, and then we don't get it done. I don't wanna do a partial, I wanna do the whole thing, if we're gonna do anything back there.
I agree.
I mean, so.
It's all or none.
Yeah. They don't need to tear it up and have a big old muddy mess back there either, no. I thought a lot about it. That's all we'll do, we'll just tear it up and we'd have mud coming in all winter long.
John, will you open that door just a crack? We can't have a closed door.
Oh, I can't hear.
Well, I think they stopped talking.
Did they stop
We
talking
just
now?
need to have it cracked open, we can't have it tight.
Yeah, sorry, because otherwise Brandon's head and mine will be hung.
Apex might be a little smaller, but I don't know, I looked at a job they did in town here last week, and it's, I don't know if it's comparable to this, maybe a little smaller, but, did a good job, and I don't know, I'm still, for the difference in price,
Yeah.
10,000, like I say, and they gotta do the job is right there, I'll come back, tear it out and redo it, it's, so.
But yeah, and that's your guys' choice. I mean, that's your option, that's your choice,
Mhm.
whether to pick Apex or CAP. I only recommend them because of like I mean, I never pick the lowest, never pick the highest.
Right, yeah, I
That's just how
realize
it
that.
is done business. But, I mean, if you guys, that's up to you guys, whether you wanna pick Cap or pick Apex. I think they both could do the job, just what I've heard is Apex doesn't have quite the big enough equipment.
But that's up to them, if it takes them a half day longer or a day longer, that's
Yeah.
their deal, you know.
So,
The way I feel, I know about Julie Lane, 10,000 is quite a little bit,
Well, and this isn't considered a big job
no.
back here.
It's gonna be about a mid-sized job.
Mhm.
The biggest problem I see is the grading. Making sure they got the grading right and the compaction right.
Now, is Dana doing that part or Apex?
Apex.
Apex will do that.
We gotta make sure the compaction is properly compacted. So then I would ask for have it tested.
Yeah, and they're gonna be sure of that because like I say, if the job doesn't hold up, they have to come back and redo it, so,
But I mean, if at least we have approved, we can look at it, and then we don't have to go, wait and wait and wait all summer. We can hit it right in the spring, right when we start to have good weather. And then I'll check with the city and see if we can figure out who can, have it tested. I want a compaction test on it, if we're gonna use Apex especially. Let's make sure we have the good compaction test for it.
And how do you test that?
They drill a hole in the gravel and they check the compaction of it, making sure that it's compacted all the way down through or not.
they have a little kind of touchy
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
Just so that we get, because if you're not compacted properly, it'll start to wave. And then everything is all messed up.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, I think that is a motion.
Okay, and that was Apex?
Right.
I'll second that. It's moved and seconded then that we go with Apex for the resurfacing behind the courthouse. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Because I know I can lock in the price
Mhm.
for next spring.
And, for till, even if it goes till spring, it's hard to say, it could stay like this
It could.
till February, and chances are, of course, it depends how much frost comes in and stuff now too,
Yeah.
but I don't, they still might get it done, but whether they do or not,
Yeah.
like I said, the one job I looked at, they did good.
Okay.
And like I said, if it takes them, maybe they don't have as big equipment or something, or it takes them, maybe that's why they can do it for a little less, they don't have quite as expensive, I don't know.
You have
But
small-
they've got to, yeah, they've got to stand behind it,
Yeah.
so that's our guarantee, you should say.
Well, then now what I'll do is I'll call them, I'll get them to sign so that they hold their price. And then we can start working on this drainage problem back here.
Yeah.
And then when we think we have a window, we'll grind it out. And I'll line up the demo people so that they're all ready to go too.
I would recommend you get on this drainage part.
And,
It should be done, it should have been done a long
Yes.
time, or when it was built, but I'd say get that, because in case this doesn't get done before winter, at least that part will be done, because that's where most of that ice and stuff comes from, as far as the dangerous part of it.
I do agree with that. And I do agree we need to fill the potholes with gravel, get Dana out here to kind of fill some potholes in the gravel.
They're bad.
They are bad. So,
When I drive through them, I'm afraid my car won't come back out of them.
why not?
But might not.
No, I'll line that up. Dana had already told me he's bringing his backhoe in, I think next week or the week after. And we'll dig this drainage problem up and then.
The county gonna dig it, or the city, county?
County's gonna dig it. City doesn't, they're not responsible for anything back here, supposedly. So we will.
It's in the alley.
I know. I could argue.
Yeah, I know, as long as,
So I'll get Dana to dig this up with me, and then I'll get all this run out, and then I'll get him to grade this out back here to get the potholes all filled in for now, and then we're gonna go from there.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right. And
Thanks.
the restroom is great.
Well, thank you. I got the other handicap lift for the other one.
All right.
Or grab it.
but it's too big to get that drainage part taken care of.
Oh,
right
for
away.
sure. Because we end up with big ice
Oh, yeah, that's-
rings back
yeah.
there.
How come that slipped by when it was done originally, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel okay with that, Apex, yeah.
Okay. Well, Melinda called me and I went down and checked out the church. I didn't get out and walk through it because I was hurting, so
Mhm.
I just did the drive-through, but it looked nice, what I saw.
You walked through it, right?
Yeah, I walked around there, and like, the one thing I'm not sure where the sidewalk was there, the handicap slope, you know, and they come right up to this asphalt, just.
Right on.
Yeah,
Great.
so,
Okay.
and, you know, it takes a little longer, that'd be the only thing, I guess, if they're, when we say their equipment's a little small or something,
Mhm.
that's their part of it. Well, I mean, looking for any claims or you've already been through all of it.
I've been through 'em. I have to talk to Sean about that. I'll have to call him.
Oh,
I've been with military affairs. Do you have anything else?
no, I don't believe so. I think I'm done other than go through these claims.
This is from Montana Department of Transportation. The subject is Broadwater County Bridge Inspection. Find and close bridge inspection reports for the following structures. And this one is for 10 miles east of Townsend. I think that puts us right at the mouth of the canyon. It is requested that Broadwater County contact this office at the phone number listed below to update MDT files regarding repair works or replacement of bridges in the county, structures 20 feet or longer, or to request subsequent inspections. Current inspections of additional bridges are underway and report will follow. For any questions or comments, I can be reached at the Butte office. Signed, Wayne Halverson, Assistant Bridge Coordinator, Butte.
Well, that is, it's just to get the report from them, right? They're gonna do their inspections.
Mhm.
From the region here, we got over with, but anything different anyway.
Wouldn't know what to look for.
So I'd say just, it's in their hands, let them keep it in their hands.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
on that, I guess I would wonder, because there is still, maybe some question on whether the GOT and or the FEMA grant are going to be looking at, cost and that bridge at the North Fork. I know that there's been statements made that the DOT is going to include that in the highway project, but I don't know, did the county ever get any confirmation of that for sure?
Not yet.
And so maybe, might be, just keep that in mind if they're looking for a way to pass the financial buck on that bridge.
And this is the North Fork Bridge, definitely.
So I would be maybe asking some questions about that.
Good idea.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, I'll close the meeting, we can open it to public comment. If not, we'll no.
Don't say that.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm
You
so
got
used
that
to
habit of
that.
saying that last week.
We'll adjourn.
Begins with an A.
Oops. Alan?
I have a question, I guess maybe I missed, I wasn't here maybe, on the,
28.
yeah, for career training, Institute? I guess, what part of that were you guys
What we
discussing?
did is contacted CTI about getting some help, clerical help here in the courthouse to help with some stuff. They don't have anybody as we speak, but as soon as they do, they'll contact us.
Oh, okay.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I was asked, pertaining to somebody else, what that.
That's what it is.
Pertaining to. Okay.
Okay, I'll try this again. We'll adjourn, not recess. And have a great day. We've got a health board meeting next week. Mhm.
I talked to Dan White on Friday, and he